Good evening, and welcome to the Candidate Forum for Marquette County Board of Commissioners and Marquette City Commission. This nonpartisan forum was organized by 40 Below Young Professionals of Marquette County. It is the mission of 40 Below to connect the working professionals of Marquette County under the age of 40 through networking, professional development, civic engagement, social and recreational opportunities. As an organization, 40 Below has made efforts to improve civic engagement and community building in Marquette County through several initiatives that are open to members of 40 Below and non-members alike. Our goal with hosting this candidate forum is to provide an opportunity for dialogue between our community's aspiring leaders and the general public. My name is Marina Dupler, and as head of the planning subcommittee and a member of 40 Below, I will be moderating this forum. Dominic Davis, also a 40 Below member, is our official timekeeper. And if I could ask every 40 Below member in the audience to please raise their hand. Great. So, thank you for attending this evening's event. And for those tuning in on Channel 21, I welcome you as well. I'd also like to thank the candidates. They're with us tonight, and we really do appreciate your participation. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few simple housekeeping rules. First, audience members, if you have not yet submitted questions you'd like to be read to candidates, please do so. The green colored paper is for questions of city candidates and the purple for county candidates. Please note, and this is important, questions that are deemed by me as the moderator as duplicative, not pertaining to local issues, personally attacking an individual candidate, or otherwise irrelevant will be discarded. Secondly, if you are here for the city portion of the forum, please feel free to head to our overflow room in room 103. You can watch the forum on the screen down there if you'd like. I'd like to remind all candidates that microphones are live, so please, no sidebar conversations. And please do as I'm doing in speaking directly into the microphone. And lastly, audience members, please refrain from applauding or any other such outburst. And with that, we will begin with the candidates running for County Commission. They are seated by district, and their seating order was decided by a random drawing held earlier. We'll start with opening statements, all of which will be limited to 1 minute in length. The clock in front of Dominic here will be counting down, and we will be indicating when your 1 minute is up. Opening statements will be followed by one standard question, which was mailed to candidates ahead of time. And after all candidates have answered that question, we will draw from questions submitted by the audience. We'll pull a new question for each district, but we'll again draw numbers randomly to determine, thank you, which candidates will answer first. Lastly, each candidate will give a closing statement. Remember, all statements and answers are limited to 1 minute. With that, Mr. Pence, we will begin.
Thank you. A guy who was about a half a generation older than I sang a song that said, "You're going to have to serve somebody." And he made it seem like a bad thing. But then again, Bob Dylan is a bit of a jokester, and I think, really, he meant the opposite. I think Mr. Dillon meant that when we serve others, we ourselves are much happier. And I knew that a lifetime helping others was the right thing to do because my father, a Republican, always cared about those who were struggling, and my mother, a Democrat, loved the kindness of FDR and the strength of Eleanor Roosevelt. I have thoroughly enjoyed a life spent in community service, but in 1 minute, I can't tell you much more. So I would advise you to go to Facebook, re-elect Steve Pence for more information. It's been a pleasure serving District 1, and I look forward to your support in this election cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. DePietro.
Thank you. John DePietro, running for District 1. One of the things I really enjoyed as I served on the City Commission was I was available 24/7, and I love to listen to people with questions and concerns. And if elected, I'll be doing the same thing. People that have called me or emailed me, see me grocery shopping or wherever, know that I'll respond to them. I've always enjoyed serving the public. I did for 32 years with the City of Marquette Public Works Department and 8 years on the City Commission. And the people had always been very good to me. So I really look forward to serving on the county board in District 1. So people, come on out and vote. It's going to be very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Carlson. I'm running for County Commissioner for District 2. I want to thank the 40 Below organization for putting together this forum. I also want to thank the other candidates for being here. I understand there were some people who were opposed to this forum taking place, but personally I think it's a great idea. I've lived in Negaunee Township for the past 5 years. I have a degree in business from Northern Michigan University, and I own my own consulting business. I'm a fairly untraditional candidate for this office. I'm 25 years old, and this is my first time running for county government. However, I'm also an untraditional candidate in that I'm very much connected with the young people in this area, the up-and-coming entrepreneurs, and the cutting edge of business and new technology. I'm running to make sure that Marquette County is a great place to live and work by ensuring that the county provides good services and facilitates a healthy economic environment so that on the long term, our children and our grandchildren can continue to live here. Thank you.
Mr. Schneider.
Thank you. My name is Jason Schneider. I'm running for Marquette County Commission District 3. I'm 36 years old and I've been a resident of Marquette County for 18 years. So I'm a transplant. I moved here from California to attend Northern Michigan University, where I got a degree in economics and history. Since then, I've opened a number of my own small businesses and helped many, many others open businesses of their own, and have most recently worked as a business coach. I've also served on the Marquette Food Co-op Board of Directors as its president through some challenging times, as well as serving on the Marquette City Commission for a term. Both of those community service experiences have been incredibly rewarding, and I enjoy being involved. I chose to run mostly because as a city commissioner I felt very limited in my ability to represent the community at large. And oftentimes when I said the word community, other people said, you're a city commissioner, you need to pay attention only to city limits. And I feel that I want to represent the community as a whole rather than just the city.
Thank you. Mr. Heikela.
Excuse me. My name is Bruce Heikela, and I've served as your county commissioner for the past 10 years. I'm married to Jackie Anderson Heikela, and I have one daughter, Sarah, and two grandsons, Gavin and Mason. I graduated from Marquette Senior High School and Northern Michigan University with a degree in accounting and finance. I'm a third-generation lifelong resident of Marquette County, and I've operated businesses in Marquette County for over 35 years in construction and real estate. I'm presently the co-owner of the Sports Rack, and I'm also a licensed real estate broker. Some of the boards I've served on are the Aging Services Advisory Board, the Economic Development Corporation, the Lake Superior Community Partnership, the Downtown Development Authority, the Historic Task Force, and I'm also the county liaison to the Pathways Board. I've lived in Marquette County all my life, and I care about its future. I will continue to work for the residents of District 3 and all of Marquette County residents. Thank you.
Mr. Corkin.
Yep. I'm Jerry Corkin, candidate to represent the cities of Bisping and Negaunee. I'm running because I have the passion and the energy to be a well-informed commissioner and a leader in Marquette County and the UP. Strong believer in strong fiscal management, and if you look at the track record of the county, you'll see it's in sound fiscal shape. Also, I'm a strong advocate for economic development. I believe that the best social program is a meaningful job. I am also very much into constituent services. I will go anywhere in the county to try and help constituents with problems, and I've done this on a regular basis for a long period of time. I've also served in leadership all over the UP in many organizations that I belong to. And when I'm asked, why is it that they pick you? There's probably one word: trust. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lacasse.
Good evening, and thank you to Marie and the 40 Below group and the community members for this opportunity. First, a little bit about myself. I'm a lifetime Uper and resident of Marquette County. graduate of Ishpeming High School and Northern Michigan University. I'm a father of two, former Army officer, veteran of Operation Iraqi Freedom. I've served the city of Negaunee as a firefighter for 10 years on the city council and currently am the city mayor. I have recently been endorsed by the Marquette County Deputies Association and the Marquette County Sheriff Senior Officers Association. I'm running for District 4, which encompasses Ishpeming City and Negaunee City, to represent them on the county, and I believe that we should broaden our tax base by allowing more businesses to come through, cutting red tape. And again, I thank you for this opportunity, and I look for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Struck.
Hello, I'm Bob Struck. I had served on the county board for 6 years, took a four-year recess, and would like to get back on. I've got the distinction of being the only Republican elected to county office in over 25 years, and I also have the honor of being endorsed by the Marquette County Labor Council, which typically supports Democrats. And I think it shows that I'm able to see all sides of all issues and have the support of a lot of people. I'm currently on the Marquette County Planning Commission, established, and I'm the chairman of the Sawyer Community Alliance. I'm on the executive committee of the Great Start Collaborative, which deals with young children, have been on the Mackinac Bridge Authority, and have involved in a lot of community things. I enjoyed being on the county board. I enjoyed the dialogue I had with the commissioners and working with all the community members, and I hope to get back on. I thought I did a good job, and I hope to do a good job too if I get elected.
Thank you. Mr. Nordin.
Well, it's quite a challenge trying to sum your life up in 60 seconds, but everyone else did it, so I can do it too. I grew up in Gwinn. My family has been in Gwinn since Gwinn was built by the mine in 1909. And I happen to live in the same house that my great-grandfather built in 1909 when he immigrated here to work in the mines. After graduating from Gwinn High School, I went to Michigan Tech. I obtained a bachelor's degree in engineering. After college, I worked for the Navy Intelligence for 8 years. I was stationed in Washington, D.C., and I worked on foreign weapon systems. I traveled a lot in that job, both domestically and abroad, and I loved it. But the one thing I didn't have there was I wasn't living in the UP. So in 1995, I moved back to Gwinn. I owned and operated several small businesses, and I became involved in politics. Initially, I was elected to the Forsyth Township Board and then to the Marquette County Board. I was a volunteer firefighter in Forsyth Township for 13 years. In 2004, I decided to go to law school, and I did not run for re-election. I finished law school in 2008, and I'm admitted for law in Michigan, Wisconsin, and several federal courts. I am married, and I have 5 children, ranging from 19 to 2 years old. And I have been endorsed by the Marquette County Deputies Association. Thank you. I know my clock was running out. Thank you.
Ms. Alholm.
Hi. Good evening. And I'd like to thank the 40 Below organization for putting on this forum tonight. I'm a lifelong resident of Marquette County. I graduated from Northern Michigan University. I worked in the area as an attorney for over 20 years. Prior to attending law school, I worked for the County Board of Commissioners for several years. And I believe that I can be an effective member of the County Board, given my training, work experience, and my interest in serving on the County Board. I've been trying to familiarize myself with current board issues lately by attending recent board meetings, learning the issues and their procedures of operation. Given the opportunity as a member of the county board, I'll work hard for the people, and I will be committed to being prepared, informed, as well as realistic in considering issues before the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Curran.
Good evening. My name is Mark Curran, and I moved to Marquette in 1991. I'm married with 3 great children. And one of my main things is I want to make Marquette a great place for my kids to grow up and have good jobs. You guys being, the 40 and below, you're going to be successful. You're going to be opening up your businesses, and we need to foster your business. I've been very lucky. My wife and I, we started the Cruising Coffees. We've been very lucky with those. We have our Curran & Company. We've developed a substantial real estate business through that. And back 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was a lot easier to start businesses in Marquette County. And we've got to get back to a little bit more of the basics in that and make it easier for you guys to start your businesses. A little additional background on me. I have my degree in business management from Northern. I'm also endorsed by the Sheriff's Association, Deputies Association, the Sheriff's Senior Officers Association, and the Home Builders Association here in Marquette. So there's lots of opportunities for us, and I guess I'm out of time.
Thank you. Mr. Booth.
Evening, everyone. My name is Eric Booth. I'm a Marquette Senior High School graduate, a licensed engineer, and a United States Army veteran. I served at Fort Sill, Oklahoma in an infantry division and in Camp Stanley, Uijeonbu, South Korea. I earned my engineering degree from Michigan Tech and my master's in organizational leadership at Marion College. I have over 12 years of experience in the power industry. Serving our community with the Board of Light and Power for the last 2 years, I spent restoring the Tourist Park Dam. That renewable energy project put $5 million into our local economy during a recession, which means it put food on our neighbors' table and a roof over their heads at a time when they badly needed it. It will reduce 450,000 tons of carbon dioxide emissions and 1,000 tons of sulfur dioxide emissions, in addition to restoring a 100-acre lake for us all to enjoy. Building a renewable energy resource is an achievement that very few people in their lifetimes will get to experience, and I want to thank the community for their support in making that happen.
Thank you. Mr. Brady.
I'm Dwight Brady. I'm a born and raised Youper, married to a born and raised Youper, and my wife Sharon and I feel very fortunate to be able to raise our 4 kids here in Marquette County. I am a member of the faculty at Northern Michigan University, where I teach courses in journalism and communications law. I've served on a number of university-wide committees at NMU, and I have served at the request of Governor Granholm back in, I think, 2007. While my background is in communications, I believe the greatest asset that I bring to the Commission is the capacity to listen and to gather information before making a decision. I believe government at all levels should be fair, transparent, and responsive. I'm endorsed by our current County Commissioner from District 6, Greg Sepinen, and the Marquette County Labor Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smaby.
Hi, my name is Nick Smaby. I'm a 27-year Youper. I took my first job out of college here at a radio station that I still work for today. I started out in the news business, and I found that you really can't make a good living at being in that business, so I feel bad for all the people in that business over there. I know that it's a low-paying job and a tough one, but I moved into advertising sales, and I've been there ever since. I'm running, well, I should tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a Christian, a husband, a father, a grandfather, a small business owner, a local community servant, a conservative, and a Republican, pretty much in that order. I've worked in the radio, television, and newspaper industry over the past 27 years. I'm basically running because I'm concerned that we have one-party rule in this county right now. We have 6 seats in county government. We have 6 Democrats in there. Through a redistricting process, basically people who even thought conservative were redistricted out of existence. And I'm here to provide a voice for all people and an end to one-party rule. And I look forward to having the opportunity to serve the people of Marquette County.
Thank you. We will now be asking candidates to answer the standard question which was posed to you last week. That question is, if elected, where would you envision Marquette County in 5 years? Remember, answers are limited to 60 seconds. I'll draw randomly. Mr. Pence. Let's shake it up.
Right now?
Yes, you may begin.
Thank you. Albert Einstein said that the only source of knowledge is experience. I have been your county commissioner for District 1 for 2.5 years, and before that, I was civil counsel in Delta County and the county prosecutor for 8 years. This year, we have 3 experienced candidates who have declined not to run for office. I am very frightened by the prospects of no leadership, because it's been an amazing thing that the Mining Journal has praised our work as a collegial body very much, I think 3 different times in the last year. We have gotten things done because we have not fought with each other. That doesn't mean we haven't had disagreements. It simply means that we've accomplished things by suppressing our own ideology and our own personal interests for the good of the county. We've done things with suicide prevention, with the Veterans Affairs Office being on the ballot. We've done things to work with the budget in difficult times and to eliminate some of our legacy costs. So where we are depends upon who serves on this board.
Thank you. The next person answering will be Mr. Corkin.
Okay, I see Marquette County continue to be a progressive county providing high-quality services, very desirable place to live and recreate, a strong sense of community with a lot of volunteerism as we presently have. I see the economy diversifying and potential for increased manufacturing, industrial, and military use at K.I. Sawyer. We have world-class airport to aid businesses in Marquette County. Organic superior extrusion, biogenics are exciting growth stories. The wood industry and the mining will continue to be core industries in Marquette County with potential for more extraction of precious metals in western Marquette County. So I see NMU being important in educationally and culturally. I see the smart zone idea as being a good one and should aid entrepreneurism and possibly new jobs in the county.
Thank you. The next candidate to answer will be Mr. Schneider.
Thank you. Where are we going to be at in 5 years? I think that's really hard to say because there's a lot of things that are outside of the County Commission's hands. Things like the Presque Isle Power Plant possible closure, things like the dark stores issue. Those are things that have the opportunity to absolutely gut our tax base for this community. We don't know where that stands. But we also have some good things like the next Michigan Act, which allows Delta County and Marquette County to work together as an economic development unit, and a possible extension of the Smart Zone down into the community, which in Houghton it's created 400 jobs. I don't see why it can't do the same here. So to me, where we're at in 5 years really relies on the creativity of the board that is elected into this position and all municipal positions, whether it's city or whether it's township. So I think it's really important that people take the time to research who they're getting involved, because a good board, a good elected body, the strength comes from the diversity of the board members and their willingness to work together.
Thank you. Mr. Nordin.
Marquette County has the best economy of any county in the UP. It is commonly regarded as being the most progressive and advanced county in the UP. So what we want to do is make sure that we don't change things that are working well. But with that said, I think Marquette County can be improved, and we need to have the type of leaders that can embrace change and make Marquette County better for its citizens. In the last 5 years, or in the next 5 years, I believe progress will continue in Marquette County, and the county will continue to be recognized as a leader. In particular, I believe we'll have a new and improved hospital, and we'll continue mining ferrous and non-ferrous minerals. In addition, we should see additional small businesses and support services that will make Marquette County the economic hub for the UP, continue to make it that hub. To help economic progress, Marquette County needs to streamline the regulatory process while assuring the health and welfare of the county. Times have changed, and the county needs to look at how to make regulatory process for construction more efficient using new technologies. We need to think out of the box and assert ourselves in a way that helps the citizens of Marquette County.
Thank you.
I made it that time.
Mr. Carlson.
I see Marquette County as an area with significant and unique challenges, but also an area with significant opportunity. We've got some challenges facing our budget over the next few years: the loss of property tax revenue, the rising costs of health care and retirement, dwindling funds for Sawyer International Airport, and unfunded state mandates. Effectively tackling these problems requires economic growth, plain and simple. Mining is obviously a significant aspect to not only my district, but the county as a whole, and I'm a strong supporter of the mines. But we as a county are part of a fast-paced, globalized economy, and we've seen how that can affect our area's major industries such as healthcare, education, mining, timber, and also tourism. We need to become adept at attracting and retaining young people through regional cooperation, information sharing, and economic development, because these people will by and large be the next job creators and sources of revenue to pay for our city, township, and county services that enable us to improve the quality of life for our county's residents for well beyond the next 5 years.
Thank you. Mr. Brady.
In looking ahead 5 years, we should have realized, I hope, some of the severance tax revenue from the Lundin mine, which will make the task of balancing the county's budget a whole lot easier. I see continued diversification of our economy with companies like Organics and Biogenic Reagents and Frontier Medical out at Sawyer. I had a chance to tour Sawyer back in May and was very impressed. I'm convinced that with the help of newly established smart zones for this area, certainly that will help foster continued growth at Sawyer and other parts of the county. The bad news is, as was already mentioned, the Presque Isle Power Plant and the Empire Mine are both in very tenuous situations at the moment, and we're still awaiting the outcome of the dark store issue. So there could be some very serious revenue pressures on the county budget going forward. Even though we as a board can't control all of these issues, we can control whether we have a plan in place to deal with them if one or more of these setbacks should occur. I guess it's like the old saying, hope for the best, but plan for the worst.
Thank you. Mr. Heikkila.
My vision and goal for Marquette County in the next 5 years is to make it a better place in which to live. Marquette County's population will remain about the same in the future. Because of this, it is important to work with existing businesses. We also need policies to promote new job growth, which will help both new and existing businesses. Quality of life is an important factor in determining where people live. Public parks, public lakeshore access, and Iron Ore Heritage Trail are a few of our special attributes that will draw people to our area. Another change that will occur in the population is aging. 1 in 5 county residents will soon be seniors. Marquette County currently provides services for seniors through 4 senior centers. One of our goals is to help seniors stay in their homes by providing chore services. We are also working on a new Department for Veterans Affairs, which gives veterans the services they deserve. There will also be other financial challenges, such as unfunded state mandates and the possible closure of We Energies and or the Empire Mine. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Booth.
The Presque Isle Power Plant is going to close. They've announced that. I see us well on our way in developing a regional power solution that develops and maintains local generation, which means we keep Marquette dollars in Marquette and not send them out of state. Right now we have a constrained power grid in the Upper Peninsula, and the only solution that's seriously being considered is an expensive transmission system upgrade. I say we develop our energy here, be masters of our own destiny. I'll use my 12 years in the power industry to make that happen. And it's time to update the strategic plan for the county. That document's been sitting idle for 9 years. We have to prepare our community. I spent the last year in the development of the BLP strategic plan, so I have direct experience with that process. We can't sit by and let these things happen to us. We have to be proactive and aggressively form long-term solutions for the sustainability of our community.
Thank you. Mr. DePietro.
Thank you. Marquette County is going to be the leading county in the UP, and they're going to have a very high employment, not unemployment, but employment, due to the mining industry, logging, tourism, and the future business, thanks to the smart zone. Also, the state of Michigan is going to get $400 million plus from Lundin for the next 8 years. They'll get it in increments. Marquette County is going to get $40 million over an 8-year period. So that's going to help the county commissioners as they work into the 21st century. Another thing is that in 10 years, the federal government wants all coal-burning electric plants to be using natural gas. We got 13,000 plus seniors living in Marquette County. We need to improve the public transportation due to younger people biking and walking to work and the elderly driving less.
And we'll have to leave it there. Thank you. Mr. Smaby.
Well, in spite of a large, overbearing, unchecked federal, state, local government, I think Marquette County is going to prosper, and that's because of the people and the natural resources. My goal is to get government out of people's way. I think that government is overreaching and that it needs to be checked. Government unchecked tends to grow wild like a weed, and that's what we have at the county level. County budgets, again, are 1/3 larger than they were just 5 short years ago. That's millions of our tax dollars. I, too, believe that the best social program is a meaningful job. Unfortunately, our #1 exporters are young people. Why? Because they can't find good families sustaining jobs up here. The mines are part of that solution, yes, but they're not the entire solution. I think we have some problems with communication on this board. I'm a communication expert. We have a dysfunctional relationship between this board and local law enforcement, and that needs to be fixed. It's unnecessarily putting people at risk, and these are some of the things that I'd like to address as a county commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Struck.
Well, first, I'd like to appreciate my colleagues using all of my ideas. You spoke them well. So I'll just throw in a couple of other thoughts. I want to separate my comments and response in two things. One government, one community. From a government perspective, the county is limited in what it can do. Our responsibilities are mandated by the Constitution, by state law. County has to do certain things, and it has limited monies to do those things. And to date, as mentioned, the county board has done an excellent job of keeping this county functioning and functioning well. We have a good staff, we have a good board. I'd like to see that continue, because it's essential to the area as far as government goes. From a community perspective, I think we also need to reach out to all of the other areas for the things that we're not responsible for, working with the townships, the cities, and the other communities. There's young children, there's senior citizens. They all deserve dignity and attention and a place to live where they could be comfortable and healthy and safe. And I think that's what we need to work towards.
Thank you. Ms. Alholm.
Thank you. I see that the budget will be a problem 5 years down the road. Mr. Corkin indicated that it's fiscally healthy, but there's a lot of debt that they are dealing with. The county board has committed itself to taking care of the unfunded health insurance liability, but that's going to take many years to do, and during that time I don't see a lot of expansion of programs and services. I think the county board has done a good job, and would hope to be part of that board in continuing to provide services to the county. There are revenues issues, as have been discussed, that will have to be dealt with, and I think working together between the county, townships, we can try and solve some of the issues and draw some industry and manufacturing here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lacoste.
Thank you. I see Marquette County with some major economic growth. Government only generates revenue through taxes, and there's two ways they do that. They either raise taxes, which eventually is unsustainable. You'll have people move to a lower tax bracket. Or you broaden the tax base. When elected, I will work to broaden that tax base by getting rid of excessive regulation, cutting the red tape. As mayor, speaking to business owners in the city of Negaunee, welcoming them to the city of Negaunee. Negaunee's open for business, only to be frustrated when they get smacked down by regulation from the county. Also cutting the taxpayer burden by cutting commissioner health care and benefits. This is about public servitude, not personal gain. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Curran.
Well, thank you again. Number one, a 5-year plan is very short term. We need to think way into the future. Some of the big aspects that I'd like to see us go over would be better law enforcement patrols at the county level. Okay, we need to seriously look at the jail. We have a lot of that's been in the paper a lot. We need to look at the overcrowding issues. Do we need to highly improve that current facility or build a new one? These are going to be issues that need to be addressed. The power plant. We all know that power plant is most likely going to close. We need to get on these issues. It's been out in the forefront for a long time. Why aren't we addressing it early? You know, why didn't we look at getting a natural gas line over there, trying to convert it? It's probably too old and antiquated now, but maybe we can get one of these new power plants to come in there and build something new. We also need to work on becoming more business friendly. It's very difficult for small businesses to start up. You don't see them up in the township as much. We need to start pushing more. We also need to look at the highway, look at the township real quick, and getting our access roads going. And again,
thank you. We'll have to leave it there. I believe everyone has had the opportunity to answer. Great. We'll now turn to the audience-submitted questions. A different question will be drawn at random for each district. Remember, answers are limited to 1 minute. So we'll start with District 1. The question submitted. The county board can dissolve the road commission as allowed by state law. Would you support dissolving this group? And the person to answer first will be Mr. Pence.
He's always first. It's good to have friends. I have not been happy with some of the actions of the road commission over the last year. I've probably been one of only 2 board members to speak against some of what they've done. Their eagerness under all circumstances to please industry without sometimes regard to the environment. But I've been a lone voice on that, and I've been proud to work effectively with other board members, and I don't harp on issues that I don't have sometimes a second or a third. As for assuming the responsibilities, I think we can do a better job with our appointments, but we have enough to do without managing roads with limited funds. I like what they do, but I don't like always some of their philosophy and how they give short shrift to people who don't have as much influence.
Thank you. Mr. DePietro.
Yes, I would vote to dissolve that board due to the fact that on March 19th, 2014, there was about right around 7,000 cars coming from Negaunee-Ishpeming headed east to Marquette. They got down by the Michigan Gas Company. They ended up having like a 17-car pileup at 8 in the morning. The police agencies had started calling Central at 7 in the morning requesting for county plows and for ice control. There was none available. The equipment was in the garage. They didn't have the manpower, and there was injuries involved. EMS vehicles struck due to the road conditions. Yes, we do need to change course on what's happening on that board. Thank you.
Thank you. And for District 2, since there's only one candidate, we won't need to draw to decide the order. But the question is, what is your #1 priority as County Commissioner?
My #1 priority as County Commissioner would be figuring out how, as a county board, to retain and attract young people and families to our county, to improve our economy, to increase our jobs, and to make Marquette County a more desirable place for people to live and work. I think it's very important, it's a priority for everyone in Marquette County that our kids and our grandkids can stay in this county, and there's a number of things that we can do as a community and as a local government to ensure that people have the opportunities to stay in the area if they want to. And I think a lot of people would absolutely stay in the area if the opportunities are there. And so, yeah, that would be for sure my #1 priority. Thank you.
Thank you. For District 3, the question is, we have a bit of a divide between businesses in downtown Marquette, the big box stores in Marquette Township, and the other towns and villages throughout Marquette County. What can we do as a county to collaborate as a whole to bring more traffic into all areas of all of the aforementioned areas?
Wow. I think, how many questions do you have there?
That's more than one.
Well, the question, I guess, was preceded by a comment, but I'll repeat the question. What can we do as a county to collaborate as a whole to bring more traffic into all of the aforementioned areas, that being downtown Marquette, the township, towns, villages? And candidate sitting in seat number 5 will answer first.
What can we do to bring traffic into downtown Marquette? Let me just repeat downtown Marquette,
Sure.
the cities and townships?
Yes, the cities, the townships, the villages, and the towns throughout Marquette County.
Okay. Well, one thing, we can make economic growth a priority, and we can pass policies, business policies, to help businesses so they can get through the red tape and be able to improve the businesses and expand existing businesses. I think collaboration between all these different areas of the city, townships, and highway businesses is an important thing, because without collaboration, you're not going to have any kind of movement forward. It's an important thing in the future here that we all work together, because right now there's been a lot of discussions where the city's working one direction, townships are another. You really need to work together. And as a county commissioner, I can tell you one thing. I'm working for all county residents, east, west, north, south, and all age groups.
Thank you. Mr. Schneider.
That's a good question. Mostly I think it's communication. I don't necessarily think that it's necessarily infrastructure. I think it's communication. When I was sitting as a Marquette City Commissioner, I had the chance to go down to Delta County and experience a meeting where they had the county and they had every municipality, they had the tribe, the college, the hospital, and everybody sat down in a room once a month together to talk about what they could do, what's going on, who's working on what, and I thought it was a great idea. This is actually why I chose to run for county, because I came back from that and I spoke to 3 of our county commissioners and I said, wow, wouldn't it be great if all of the communities, all of the municipalities in our community got together and discussed all of the issues that concern us, including economic development. And the response that I got was, well, what's in it for the city? Why should we do this? And to me, that was extremely frustrating. So I believe that bridging that gap between the West End and Marquette and Big Bay and Gwinn in the north and south, spawning that communication, I think, is probably the biggest thing we can do for economic development and sharing it across the county.
Thank you. The next question for District 4. Since a reliable source of electricity is essential to growth, what would you do if given the potential closing of the Presque Isle power plant? And I'll draw the order. Number 6, candidate number 6.
I guess, first of all, I don't think that it can close until there's a reliable source of power available in the UP. That reliability comes first. So before it can close, there has to be developed another generating source or a way to get electricity around so the system is reliable. So hopefully that would be something that could be done locally. I see in the paper they're talking about developing something in Arnold there, gas-fired, which is still in Marquette County now. I don't know how much merit that has, but the reliability is extremely important in the Upper Peninsula, as well as a competitive rate. If you're going to have business growth, you have to have reliable electricity and competitive rates. It's a big issue, and it's one that the governor's office, as well as the UP legislators and the federal officials, ought to be engaged in as well, because it's that important to the whole area.
Thank you. Mr. Lacoste.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes. Since a reliable source of electricity is essential to growth, what would you do if elected, given the potential closing of the Presque Isle power plant?
Well, closing of the Presque Isle power plant is an example of government overreach, overregulation. That's going to cost jobs and raise prices on energy, which is detrimental to the economy. I will work with state legislature lawmakers in Lansing to solve the issue. One of the candidates here mentioned natural gas. I think that's a good option. Doors open for all suggestions, and I'm willing. Open dialogue is very important on all levels. So we need to solve this issue and solve it quick.
Thank you. The question for District 5 candidates is, Northern Michigan University is an important asset to the county, both in terms of employment opportunities and talent retention. What can the county do to further develop its relationship with the university to keep young professionals in the area? And the candidate sitting in seat 9.
That's me.
Can answer first.
Can I pass?
No.
Well, I think all along, everything we've talked about so far is about dialogue and communication. And the county board and the county needs to communicate with everyone, including Northern Michigan University. NMU has been a major part of our county and a part of the UP for so long. I think what we need to do is maybe have a better dialogue and have internships so that you can have students that are trained over at NMU that would fit into jobs at the county. And the county has a variety of jobs, from the health department to the county itself, to the airport, to the law enforcement. And I think if we had a better dialogue between NMU and the academic part of it and the practical part of what jobs are available, I think we could create jobs and train the people properly so that they could stay in the UP, because that is a problem that we have, that our children, and I have 5 of them, have to leave the UP to find employment. So I think that we do need to communicate better with NMU.
Thank you. Mr. Struck.
I think it's a great opportunity that this county has a university like NMU within us. They've got a good tradition. They do a lot of good things. We're fortunate we have a new president at the university, and we have an opportunity to engage him, as people have said, in discussion and to see if there are ways to get the university and the county working together. With 10,000 young people in this area attending there, I would think it would be important to find ways to get them out into the communities, to offer their skills and their help. They're young people with young ideas, and they can bring something to this area that we can learn from, but conversely, they can learn what real life is like in a small town like Gwynn or Big Bay or Republic. And so, as mentioned, it's a matter of reaching out to the university and to the staff to find ways for them to come out of their little university area, and I don't say that poorly, but sometimes you get enmeshed in academics, and come out and work with the reality in the rest of this county.
Thank you. The question, again pulled at random, for District 6. As you look around, you'll notice that there's only one female candidate at the table for County Commission. What would you do to encourage more women to step up to seats in local government? And candidate sitting in seat number 11 will answer first. Oh, yes, Mr. Smaby, I drew you as number 11.
Okay, very good. I would say that, you know, the door is wide open for ladies. All they got to do is walk through it. I don't think anything's standing in the way of women entering the race. We have one up here, but I think sometimes it's just a matter of responsibilities. They have a lot of other things going on. Maybe it's not a matter of interest, but I don't think there are sexual barriers to any woman entering politics. I think we have a lady Secretary of State right now at the national level. We've had female presidential candidates, and I don't think that's an issue. So I don't really think that's, you know, I think the door is open for women. I would welcome them to get involved in politics. I would hope that they would. I love them. I think they have a great perspective, and I do think we need more of them, but it's really up to them to take that initiative and do so.
Thank you. The candidate sitting in seat number 14 will answer next.
Well, as a professor at NMU, I see great potential in our young people, male and female, every day, and it's exciting for me and keeps me going back to work day after day. But and I had the opportunity, or have still ongoing, I've had the opportunity to work with 2 very fine young women who've helped out with the campaign. They're public relations students at NMU and have done a great job helping me out with this campaign. And I've encouraged them to get involved with campaigns after the primary, so to continue on with this. And I'm trying to use this as a building block so that they can hopefully further their careers and maybe one day be sitting in a seat just like this.
Thank you. Candidate sitting in seat number 10.
Would be me. I don't know that there's a roadblock to women seeking public office, and I think that it's a matter of interest, perhaps also need to attract potential women candidates to forums like this, I really don't have a pat answer here. I don't feel that I ran for county board because I'm a woman. I'm running for county board of commissioners because I'm interested in having the position and serving, and I think that's basically an individual choice. But I think that public forums that will invite women to participate and encourage them to explore avenues that perhaps they haven't thought of. So perhaps the biggest thing is getting the information out there on availability of means in which to serve in the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate number 10. Was that you?
That was 10. Make her do it again.
Candidate number 12.
Well, You know, I think a little bit might be even our fault as men, speaking a little bit in generics, but I don't think we encourage, like my wife, for example, she's been on the Rotary Board, and I don't think I've encouraged her enough to be involved, to get into politics. She would probably hate that. But I think we need to encourage more women. In our coffee shop, we have a bunch of young ladies that are working there, and I'm always encouraging them to do better, further their education, and grow themselves personally and professionally. So I think it's all of us as a community that needs to foster strong-willed women and men to be in politics, because that's what it needs. We need the diversification of the different ideas, and that's where it's going to come from. It's going to come from the women, and hopefully, you know, they're out there and coming to us and giving us their ideas, because they're not up here tonight. But we need them in here. So I encourage anybody to come and get into politics. It'd be great, and it'd be welcome.
Thank you. Candidate 15.
It was 13, but
13. I think I didn't get some numbers back when we did the random
Just
drawing.
use names.
We'll sort
give
it
you
out.
a pass.
Okay, thank you.
I would encourage men and women who are considering governance. I'm not necessarily interested in politics, but I'm very interested in good governance, to use your talents and your backgrounds as your motivation for running for a board like this. In my case, I work in the power industry at the Marquette Board of Light and Power. The Presque Isle Power Plant's closing. We need someone at the governance level that understands the power industry. It's going to be a big factor. Maybe you're sitting at home and you're an environmentalist and you're concerned about the mines or the proposed haul routes. I have a degree in environmental engineering. That's one of my motivators for running, is what the effects will be. Not necessarily to take a stand against these things, but to make sure that they're done in a clean manner. And so evaluate what your motives are and what your talents and your background are, and use that as your driving force for running for a county level board or even a city level commission. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, we'll start the second and final round of audience submitted questions. For District 1, and bear with me, I'm going to try to read this handwriting. Will you be able to chart a vision for Marquette County economic growth if it requires smart leverage development with other counties? What are you intending to accomplish with the UP's new economic zone? And the candidate to answer first. I'll shake it. There we go. Mr. Pence.
Surprise, surprise. Wow. There has been a lot of talk about development here, and it should be noted that the Marquette County Board of Commissioners is the unit of government that most supports the Lake Superior Community Partnership in the development work they do. We have wished other municipalities would do the same. But we're presently working with the new zone and Delta County. It's a project, it's a priority for us. We're doing what we can do to attract business in every possible way. It's a commitment to our budget of something less than $100,000. We're hopeful about the city's smart zone, but frankly, we have some concerns about too many tax dollars being captured because we just don't have the spare bucks. So development has always been on our radar. It's something we're working about. Behind the scenes, we're talking about Presque Isle Power Station, what we do, and my information is you cannot meet the demands necessary with replacement by gas. So it's something that we're working on.
Thank you. Mr. DePietro.
Thank you. I would definitely support working through this smart zone. Michigan Tech, Houghton, Hancock area have been very successful. Delta County is very interested in working with Marquette County. They have the same issues. They have the same type of population as far as economic development. I know that MEDC has a big hand in helping along with this workforce, and with the smart zone, there's going to be a lot of good opportunities as the younger students that graduate and move in the 21st century will find very good, efficient jobs through this area. So that's one of the things I think will be our leading force, would be the smart zone.
Thank you. And the question for the only candidate here from District 2. How do you feel about small amounts of livestock, such as chickens, pigs, goats, in residential areas?
It's an interesting question. Definitely understand there's an ordinance on the city level for chickens, at least, that I've heard a lot of different opinions on. Personally, I'm in favor of loosening those ordinances and regulations. I'm not sure how much that falls on the county and how much on the townships and the cities, but especially for smaller animals such as chickens, I'm in favor of looser ordinances to allow that. So,
thank you. The question for District 3 candidates. K.I. Sawyer has been a 20-year endeavor for commissioners of all districts. What can we do as a county to help Sawyer succeed? And the order to answer. Candidate sitting in seat number 4.
It's a good question, but I do really wish that I would have gotten the chicken question. That was the single biggest question I got when I ran for city commission, is when can I have chickens? As far as K.I. Sawyer, I remember looking at that as a city commissioner, and there was an idea that was floated around that, should I be elected, I'm really looking forward to looking into, and that is establishing K.I. Sawyer as an international shipping port, kind of extending the international shipping status from our port here in Marquette City down to the airport. Because of things like organics and RTI and a number of other industries like that, we can start shipping to Chile and to China, where they're already doing business. But a lot of the industries that are in manufacturing up here are sending things down to Chicago and Milwaukee to be shipped overseas. And I don't see why we can't start doing that here with the airport that we've got. That would end up creating a lot of jobs in warehousing, additional jobs in manufacturing, as well as customs. I think that that would be a great opportunity for K.I. Sawyer, as one example.
Thank you. Mr. Heikkila.
When I first got on the board, one of the first things I did was go out to K.I. Sawyer. In fact, before I was on the board, and I looked at all the buildings and I examined what was there. And there are a lot of buildings that are usable. There's a lot of buildings that have to be taken down. People don't like to hear that, but that's what's going to happen. There's too many buildings. Those are some of the things we're going to have to start to do to make this a successful airport. We have done a lot of that. We got grants for blighted areas to remove buildings, to make it a better area. We've also set up a stabilization fund for our airport to try to fund it in the future. One of the other things, we've rented buildings. There are many buildings out there. I have a real estate license, and my experience on that has been helpful in renting and demolishing and repairing buildings out there. And we have worked very hard, and there's a lot of buildings that are rented out there, and there's a lot of businesses that have come into the area. There's probably 1,000 jobs that have come up. So, thank you.
Thank you. The question that I pulled next was very similar to the one just asked, so I'm going to set that one aside for candidates for District 4. So the question is, currently the Marquette City Commission has term limits, which has provided a constant flow of new people with new ideas. Would you support legislation to provide term limits? In the order. Candidate sitting in seat number 6.
We have term limits to call elections every 2 years, and if you think that they're easy, try it out. So I guess, no, I don't support term limits at the state level or at the local level. I think that people will decide who they think is doing the job, and that's the way it should be. That's democracy.
Thank you. Mr. Lacoste.
I wholeheartedly support term limits. We were founded on government being a part-time job. When someone sits in a seat for a number of years, it becomes theirs. A lot of the times they're reelected just by name recognition. The influx of new ideas is a good thing. So I wholeheartedly support term limits. Thank you.
Thank you. The question for District 5 candidates: what is your definition of leadership, and how can that be practiced on a county level? Candidate sitting in seat number 9 can answer first.
Let's see what you come up with. I think leadership means that you set the policies and the procedures for, in this case, county government, and you show for your employees to follow. And I think the best leader is always someone that gets down in the trenches and does things themselves. So I think a leader on the county board would be a commissioner that went down to the departments, visited all the departments in the courthouse, and at the health department, at the airport, at the law enforcement, central dispatch, and saw what the workers were doing. Asked the workers, the employees of Marquette County, what they needed and what kind of tools and supplies they needed to do their job. And many times you'll find that it's as easy as the workers not having what they need to do their job, to accomplish their job in an efficient way. And as a leader, you could make sure that that doesn't occur. So that's what I see as a leader.
Thank you. Mr. Struck.
It's an interesting question. It's going to give a paradoxical answer. I don't believe someone on a county board is a leader, although they're perceived as such and they have a role that sometimes they have to function as such. But a county board member needs to be a listener, needs to be a cooperator, needs to be paying attention. And I guess that's some of the important factors of a leader. But in a county board role, we have a staff that's a leader. We have an administrator, and the administrator has department heads, and they're the leaders. It all comes back to the county board member, or the county board as a whole, to make the policies and determine what's good. But in that role, you work within the community. You listen to people, you talk to all kind of people to find out what it is they want, and then you use whatever skills you may have to foster cooperation and foster some successes. And it's a tough thing because you don't want to be perceived as the boss, but you want to be perceived as the enabler, allowing people to use their ideas and their creativity to get things accomplished.
Thank you. So for District 6, we were just shy of one question, so our contingency plan is I put all of the questions back into the vase and pull one that has already been asked, but not the one you just answered. So, District 6, the question is preceded by a comment. We have a bit of a divide between businesses in downtown Marquette, the big box stores in Marquette Township, and the other towns and villages throughout Marquette County. What can we do as a county to collaborate as a whole to bring more traffic into all of the aforementioned areas? Mr. Smaby.
Well, to me, it comes back to jobs. You know, the problem is that the job issue should not be solved by local government, but by supporting the real engines of our economy and that small business. Government has never created a single good-paying job without taking money from somebody else to do it. And as your next county commissioner, I'll work to keep our community a great place to live and work, to tell our great story, it is a great one, to attract and encourage business, both large and small, to our community, work to rewrite cumbersome regulations, to modernize infrastructure, and keep taxes low for homeowners, renters, visitors, business owners throughout Marquette County. You know, I will touch on the incumbent thing. I think that the incumbent has a huge advantage when they're elected. Government leaders are like wood ticks. They kind of dig in and they're hard to get out. And I, too, would support term limits like we talked about before. And I also think that county government shouldn't be a place where county commissioners feather their own nests. That's happening now. Full-time health care benefits for part-time commissioners, as one other gentleman mentioned.
And we'll have to leave it there.
Out of bounds.
Thank you. Mr. Brady.
Again, having served on a number of university-wide committees at NMU, you have a lot of, well, I'll just go ahead and say it on the record, you have some egos there, a lot of folks with PhDs, right? And so you have to be able to work with folks and listen and be a facilitator and also again, make sure everyone is heard so you can get buy-in on a big idea. And if you're going to try to bring people together, whether it's in the business community, and try to work toward a common goal, I think that's going to be really key, is to, I guess, a motto we could follow here. If you're going to be a commissioner, you have to be a good listener, right? And I think that would be one way to kind of work together with the infrastructure issue, the business community issue, and kind of pull all that together to provide an environment where, yes, we can grow businesses and grow traffic and into these areas.
Thank you. Ms. Alholm.
Thank you. I think a question like that invites cooperation between the different local governments, city, township, county. And if it's as a cooperative effort, they should sit down and identify what attracts people in each of those areas, whether they be something like Donker's Bud Shop, downtown Marquette, Menards for business or for construction type thing. Identify what attracts people normally there. Look at traffic routes, see if you can develop more easier access to these attractions. It could be as simple as putting signs up so people know where to go. And it invites a cooperative effort between these different localities to say, how are we going to do this? And I think that that's something that would have to be explored.
Thank you. Mr. Curran.
Well, one of my top priorities is local loyalty. Okay, that's what we need to foster first. If you need something, you can pretty much buy it here in the UP. I mean, we ought to start out in Marquette County, and if you can't buy it in Marquette County, you buy it in the UP. And if you can't buy it in the UP, do you really need it, first off? But you know what, why can't we foster our local loyalty? I have yet to meet any vendor. We purchase tons of stuff around town. Okay, I have yet to meet any vendor that won't match an online price. Okay, you can take your online price into any local store, and they're probably going to beat it, do better. They're going to have better service. Okay. The next thing, the business after hours meetings are great for the businesses to meet and kind of network together. Also the feeder roads on the highway. In Marquette Township, we missed all the feeder roads. We've got an opportunity up in Negaunee and Ishpeming to start getting feeder roads on the highway. We've got to start planning now, but that's a 5, 10, and 20-year plan that we need to foster. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Booth.
I think first we have to start disassociating ourselves with the ability that if it saves us a couple bucks, it's okay to buy it somewhere else. I was a little disappointed to learn that not all our candidates bought their signs locally. I spent all my money locally on my signs from Cook Sign, my printing from Johnson's Printing. And when a recent issue came up, you know what? Those folks took care of me at no cost. That's community taking care of community. These folks put money in my pocket when they pay their power bill. I'm going to return the favor by shopping at their local businesses. I'm not taking my money out of the area. We need to start serving each other. And at the county level, we need to lead by example.
Thank you. And with that, it's time for closing statements. I will again be drawing randomly to determine who answers first. And again, candidates have 60 seconds. And I hope I don't pick Mr. Pence. Mr. DePietro.
Yay. Ouch. Quit kicking me. I'd like to end this session with I thank everybody that came out here this evening. And one of the things that I really want to do is thank the 40 and below. This was very educational, I think, for everybody. And one of the things that I'd like to see August the 5th for the voters to come out, and in District 1, come on out and vote for John DePietro, because I'll be there. I'll listen to everything that they have to say. They know that I meet with them face to face. If they got an issue, I can't solve it, I'll bring them to the proper place, department at the county level, and we'll get it fixed. I've done this in the past in the city level, and I can do it at the county level. So anyways, thank you everybody again.
Thank you. Mr. Pence.
Thank you. My dad said, whatever you are, be a good one. I believe I have been a good, hardworking county commissioner who has not sought the limelight at the expense of fellow commissioners, even when I strongly disagreed with them. County commissioners are generally male, retired, government employees, or former government employees. All good things. But I am the candidate with a diverse background. I have been a union construction worker, a radio disc jockey, a businessman, a security guard in a big city hospital, a prosecuting attorney, an attorney for the rural poor, an attorney for the urban poor. I've been a co-founder of a domestic violence shelter, an attorney for the Women's Center, and the author of legislation protecting senior citizens from unscrupulous door-to-door salesmen. So I've done a lot. It's been a diverse background, and we need diversity on this board. And until we get some women and minorities running, I'm about the best you're going to do, except for Ms. Alholm.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson.
Well, I want to thank 40 Below for sponsoring this forum, the candidates for all participating, and to everyone here and at home watching. As a relatively young person myself, I talk to people my age all the time through my involvement at NMU and local organizations. And I hear about why people are leaving the area and what they feel needs to be changed. If elected, I provide a unique and incredibly valuable voice to the County Commission that many people feel has been needed for quite some time. If you elect me, I will do everything I can from the county government level to attract and retain young people and families, to grow and diversify our economy. And in doing that, we'll be able to continue to fund the services that enhance our quality of life and also create new jobs so that our kids and our grandkids can stay in this area for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. For District 3, number 5.
I'm asking for your support and vote because I have the experience, knowledge, skills, time, and talent it takes to be an effective commissioner. Some of the issues I've worked on as a county commissioner are balancing the budget, county budget with no tax increases, promoting job growth through companies such as Organics, Superior Extrusion, and Michigan Renewable Carbon. I've also helped to secure and negotiate leases for county property. I've helped to set up a stabilization fund for future airport financing. My real estate and building experience have helped the county in evaluating buildings for leasing, remodeling, or demolition at Sawyer. I've also worked to increase funding for area senior centers, Meals on Wheels programs, and the Retired Senior Volunteer Program. Marquette County will face many challenges in the future. I know that I've done a good job over the past 10 years, and I'm ready for the tasks to come. There's no substitute for experience, knowledge, and I possess both. Please don't hesitate to call me with your concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. District 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Schneider.
Thank you. First, I want to say this is really awesome. It's great to see this many candidates running. And with any luck, I look forward to being able to serve with many of you. I really want to thank 40 Below for putting this on, because to be able to have this kind of turnout and have it publicized, I think, is something really, really important. One of the questions that I get regularly is, where is my district? If you go to the county website, there's a map with no streets on it, so you can't really tell where your district is. So I encourage you to go to jasonforcounty.com, and there's a Google map that I had made showing where all 6 districts are, so you can actually see what district that you're in, or go to the Secretary of State site to find out where you vote. For me, the economy is changing really quickly. The way we exchange information and interact with each other is changing really quickly. I think diversity is really important, and I might have Mr. Pence beat on diversity being from California in 36. I may not be a woman, but I'm looking forward to being involved in the county commission to be able to bring a different perspective into the conversation.
Thank you. Okay. Candidate number 6.
I have a proven record of strong leadership and a willingness to fight for the people in Marquette County at the state and federal level. There's only one thing I can guarantee everybody. I'll be the hardest working commissioner. Averaged 30-plus hours a week in all my years on the board. So that's one thing I can guarantee you. There won't be commissioner anywhere in the UP that'll work me. I've been elected 24 times as chair of the board by a lot of different commissions, a lot of different people. I've served as president of the UP commissioners, 15 counties for the past 2 years, and have a lot of influence UP-wide on issues that are important to the UP. So I take pride in that. I take pride in working hard for the people in Marquette County to get a fair shake. Hard work pays.
Thank you. Mr. Lacoste.
Again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the 40 Below group for this opportunity, and to the members of the community for coming out and asking our questions. Marquette County depends on the prosperity depends on smart, common sense policies, open dialogue between the county commission, commissioners, state and local level governments. We need to broaden the tax base by cutting the red tape, allowing business to come in, creating jobs, keeping our young talent here. A responsible and sound fiscal policy by cutting waste, i.e. commissioner health care and benefits. It's about servitude. I'm Keith Lacoste, and I humbly ask for your support and your vote. I am a servant leader. Selfless service is in my blood, serving our country and my community. I look forward to representing the cities of Ishpeming and Negaunee on the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. And for District 5, number 9.
It's always me first. Did he pay you?
No.
No, I want to thank 40 Below as well, not just for having this forum, but for having their organization. When I first ran for township board a long time ago now, almost 20 years ago, people told me, go to the senior citizens centers because the elderly people vote and the younger people don't. And I think it's very important for younger people to get out and vote so that their ideas are heard. And every generation has different ideas and different goals and different aspirations. And so I think 40 Below, having their organization is a very important thing, and I thank you all and applaud you all for that. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my opponent Bob, for being a cordial opponent. And I think that we've had a very good campaign so far, that we've worked side by side. And I wish him well in the election.
Thank you. Mr. Strack.
All right. Well, thank you, Bill, and I do agree. Bill and I both have served this county. We've served this county in different ways, and I think whoever of us wins is going to support the other person, and this is a no-lose situation. We both want to win, but we're both satisfied with the outcome of the election. As people have mentioned, I want to thank 40 Below and the people watching, the people here. This is an important thing. Elections are important, and you need to know who's out there, and people need to take them seriously because that's what determines how a community grows. From my end, I think everybody sitting up here is very capable and would do an excellent job. We're all good candidates. Everybody wants to do something good. And so I'm pleased to live in this county where we have such capable people. From my end, I would like to be elected because I think I can also do a good job. I've been involved in a number of different organizations. I think my track record speaks for itself. It's a big district that Bill and I are running for, and it's going to be hard to do, but I think we're both up to the job. So, again, thank you, and thank you, Bill.
Thank you. District 6, we'll start with Mr. Brady.
Again, I just want to thank 40 Below, and after the winter we experienced a few months ago, I'm thankful it's not 40 Below. But no, I've had a great time campaigning, going door to door, and talking with a number of folks. I've had people invite me in for cookies. I've been given walking sticks. I've been bitten by a dog. I've had a great time with this. Win or lose, it's been a wonderful experience. And one issue that I didn't get a chance to talk about was the water table issue in Sands Township and in Chocolate Township. The Sands Plains Aquifer is down 15 feet from its levels in 1980, and I'm committed to working with the Marquette County Water Study Group on that issue going forward. In closing, again, I have been affiliated with the Democratic Party for a long time. I've supported Democratic candidates financially, and now I'm asking for support from Dems here on August 5th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Booth.
I love Marquette. My wife Judy and I, we grew up here, we graduated together, and this is where we choose to raise our two daughters, Caitlin's 7 and Chloe's 4. I want my kids and your kids to be able to create a life here as well. And my vision for them is to inherit a county that's strong and is financially planned well. And we don't have to wait until everything gets to some crisis stage. The military taught us to be proactive and accept responsibility for yourself and for the well-being of others. And that's the spirit we need to have. We need to serve each other, take care of our community, run because we want to serve, not because we're looking for political gain. I have the education and the direct experience to serve us well given the unique set of challenges we're currently facing. And tonight, whether you're Republican or Democrat, I am running as a Democrat, but I respectfully ask you to support a United States Army veteran and encourage you to stand up and serve our community for voting for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alholm.
Thank you. And thank you, 40 Below, for organizing this forum. It's obviously that you put a lot of time and effort in doing that, and I thank you. I also thank those of you who attended today and had the interest to be here and listen and ask questions. I've been interested in serving on the county board for some time now and took this opportunity to jump in. I think as a new commissioner, if I'm elected, part of my job will be to listen and learn from some seasoned commissioners, and I am dedicated to being prepared on issues and being informed on issues. I will make it my challenge to outwork Mr. Corkin in serving on the board if I'm elected. I think I can address issues with an open mind and without being affected from outside forces on issues. I'll make up my own mind. And
thank you. We'll have to leave it there.
Thank you. I wasn't watching the clock. Thank you.
Mr. Smaby.
This is a good forum, but it's not perfect. I would encourage you to go to my website at votenixmaybe.org for details on my campaign. Thanks to 40 Below for putting it on. I would say that a wise person once said that power corrupts absolutely, or power corrupts, and that absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think that's the case with the County Board of Commissioners. We've got 6 seats held by 6 Democrats. They talk a good game on diversity and tolerance, but at the county level, that's not tolerated. Now, there are Democrats in this room I support, and I will work with all of them, but the old school tactics of bullying, intimidation, and crushing anyone who disagrees with your policies, motives, or ideology reign supreme here. From the redistricting process that gave Democrats a stranglehold on county government, to cronyism and awarding sweetheart lease deals to friends and relatives, to legacy costs of retire, rehire, to duplicative services, it's costly. There's been some misinformation put out here regarding who paid for what and bought what locally. I'd encourage you to watch the paper for details on that. I've done my homework. I knocked on 2,200 doors. I've met with county officials, and nobody will outwork me at this. So I would look forward to getting your votes.
Have to leave it there.
Well.
Thank you. Mr. Curran.
Well, thanks again for having us this evening. In my opinion, it's about jobs. I know what it takes to create jobs. I know what businesses need to create jobs. I'm a small business owner. We have over 300 housing units that we've personally built and we manage. I also own the Cruise and Coffee, so I know a lot about our young employees, and our young people around here are our future, and we've got to step it up as a commission and help to train them to become our future leaders that are going to take our seats here in a few years. It's time that we make the changes to move Marquette forward. As a county commissioner, I'll do everything I can to help the families around here and the businesses by providing a voice that's responsive, responsible, and yet realistic on what we can and can't do at the county board level. So I look around here, I think we've got a bunch of great candidates, and I look forward to whoever gets elected and working with them. And I think the 40 and Below group should really be commended for putting this together. We need our youth active. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that concludes the county candidate portion of this forum. We'll be taking a 10-minute break before the city candidate portion begins. So audience members, please take a moment to submit a question on the green sheet of paper. And at this point, I would like to give a big thank you to our candidates and invite applause. It's not easy to stand up here, and we thank you. Okay, welcome back to the Nonpartisan Candidate Forum organized by 40 Below Young Professionals of Marquette County. The county portion has concluded, and we will now begin with the candidates running for City Commission. My name is Marina Dupler, and as head of the Planning Subcommittee and a member of 40 Below, I'm moderating this forum. Dominic Davis, also a 40 Below member, is our official timekeeper, and we have many 40 Below members here in the audience. I'd like to again thank those who are attending this evening's event, as well as those tuning in on Channel 21. This forum is meant to be an opportunity to connect the future leaders of our community with the general public and to talk about issues of importance. I'd also like to thank the candidates with us tonight for their participation. Before we begin, if I could revisit a few of the housekeeping rules that were in effect for the county portion of the forum. Audience members, if you haven't done so, please submit questions for candidates using the green colored paper. Any submitted questions that are deemed by the moderator as duplicative, not pertaining to local issues, personally attacking an individual candidate, or otherwise irrelevant will be discarded. I'd like to remind candidates that microphones are live, so please, no sidebar conversations, and remember to speak close to the microphone as I'm doing. Lastly, audience members, please refrain from any applauding or any other such outburst. We will now begin. The order in which candidates were seated was decided by a random drawing earlier. We'll start with opening statements, all of which will be limited to 1 minute in length. The clock in front of me will be counting down and will be indicating when your 1 minute is up. Opening statements will be followed by 2 standard questions, which were mailed to all candidates ahead of time. After all candidates have answered those questions, we will draw from questions submitted by the audience members at random. We'll draw numbers randomly to determine which candidates answer first. And lastly, each candidate will give a closing statement. Remember that all answers and statements will be limited to 1 minute. So with that, Mr. Schramm may begin.
I'd like to thank 40 Below for putting this on. A lot of work went into this, and we're very well organized. The county portion was good. I see why some of our commissioners are so long-winded. The chairs are a lot more comfortable on this side of the table. Yeah, as I'm raising my 4 children in Marquette, I want others to have the opportunity to do the same. I'm one of what they call the UP's greatest exports, the youth. I was born and raised in the UP, graduated from NMU, and then left to find work. I made it back quicker than most, but it seems to be UPers' ultimate goal really is to raise their family in a wholesome place like Marquette. I care very much about Marquette's future, and I'm invested in its success personally and financially. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Baldini.
Thank you, and also let me thank the 40 Below for their efforts in putting this on. I believe in Marquette and its residents, and I believe that we should keep a good thing going. The city has been identified by many state and national organizations as a community to live and raise a family. But resting on those accolades, however, is not what's going to keep us moving forward into the next decade. I want to build on those positives and strengthen our community for the future. Jim Collins has written a book entitled How the Mighty Fall, and the premise of the book is that businesses and communities establish success or failures 10 years later after they begin planning. I want to be certain that we make the right decisions so that in 2024 we will still be moving forward, smart, wise decisions for the city. I believe my experience and willingness to work and make those difficult decisions will help us move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Robarge.
My name is Adam Robarge. I've lived in the greater Marquette area and worked in the greater Marquette area for roughly 15 years. Moved up here in 1999 to attend Northern Michigan University, where I received a bachelor's degree in earth science. It was the landscape, the surrounding landscape, that really drew me to Marquette, and certainly it's the landscape that has held me here. But really, it's the people of the community of the city of Marquette that allow me to call Marquette home. And although I would pride myself on bringing reason and logic to the decision-making table as a commissioner, I would say that I'm seeking a commission seat to be a voice for those people of Marquette that share those same ideals of a love for the landscape and the way that it shapes our lives here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burge.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for coming out, and thanks for 40 Below and everybody that's worked so hard to put this on. My name is obviously Bryce Burge, and I'm 26 years old. I'm by far and away the youngest person here, and I come from the service industry. I work the hotels. I've worked in the fast food and the restaurants, which really keeps up our service industry and our tourism industry. We're the ones that really are affecting and doing the grunt work for our city-based economy. And I think that with adding somebody in like me that comes from this and sees how hard it is to stay up here while you're going to school, if you're trying to start a family, how far you can go ahead with your life plans, it's going to be kind of difficult to do unless you have somebody that can really represent them. And that's what I hope to do here with the 7-person council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
My name is Craig Miller. I am originally from Chicago, Illinois, which makes me an import. I served 3 years in the United States Army with a tour duty in Vietnam as a combat soldier. And then I came to Northern Michigan University on the GI Bill, and when I graduated, I stayed. 2 years after I graduated, I got hired by the Marquette Board of Light and Power as an operating engineer in their power plant, and worked there for 25 years, retired, and I've been retired for 12 years and have decided to run for Marquette City Commission because I want to give something back to a really great community that has given me a very good life. And I want to build on the good work that this City Commission has done in the last 7 or 8 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier.
Thank you to 40 Below. My name is Peter Frazier. I'm running for City Commission because I've lived in Marquette most of my life, except for a little bit of time down at Ferris State where I graduated college. I think Marquette's a great place to live. We got great people, great economy, everything. My great-grandfather, Peter White, saw something special in this place years ago, and I think I see something special in it too, and I'd like to help keep the city moving forward and do what I can do to help the city grow. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now be asking candidates to answer the first of 2 standard questions which were posed to them last week. That question is, if elected, where would you envision the city of Marquette in 5 years? And Mr. Frazier, you can go first.
Thank you. I think we have a strong arts and culture society. We've got a strong tourism, and I think we've got great people. And I think what we need to do is find ways to create more jobs, create more industry, try and find ways to keep companies up here, keep companies coming back, keep people coming back, keep people from moving, keep companies from shutting the doors, do what we can to attract more businesses. Maybe keep business downtown, 3rd Street. You know, I read something that saw a sign somewhere that said if you spend $100 in your local community a year, it puts millions of dollars in the local economy. So I think what we can do is spend more money locally, keep business local, and do what we can to keep things going. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schramm.
It's a tough question to outline. I thought about it over the week when after it got mailed to us, and I honestly don't think it matters where I individually see the city going, or where it should be in 5, 10, or 20 years for that matter. I think it matters what the constituency wants it to be. A lot of people talk about this next Traverse City idea that Marquette's going to just boom one day. It'd be great to see, but I think it's a bad direction to go the way Traverse City went. Traverse City's growth was done without a plan and in my opinion, became a congested tourist trap. Many Traverse City people have moved to Marquette because it reminds them of the Traverse City of days gone by. Marquette has an individuality, and I think its growth should reflect that. We can build and expand on things that made Marquette what it is today, and I'd rather people say that they want to be the next Marquette. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Robarge.
Honestly, in 5 years, if I was fortunate enough to be elected, I would see the city of Marquette further implementing the progressive vision the planning that has taken place in the last few years among the active citizenry, local organizations, and city government officials alike. And I think for one instance, the Baraga Avenue Visioning Project, of which that final development plan was presented today, really exemplifies that, and it calls for a planning of a community that really embraces multiculturalism, the history and heritage, puts that on display, develops in an environmentally sustainable manner, basically creating a place that we all want to be a part of, a strong community setting. And I think that work has already been put into play, and I'd like to be a part of seeing it forward into the future.
Thank you. Mr. Baldini.
Thank you. I would envision that the issues surrounding questions about the tax base, I would hope it'd be settled or stabilized, not settled, but stabilized in the next 5 years. The Smart Zone will have been established, operating, and showing some success in a 5-year period. The next Michigan legislation will have been implemented in establishing a micropolitan zone for the Central Upper Peninsula for economic development. I also think that we'll probably see some slight population growth. I believe that when we wrote the charter, we specifically put into the charter a strategic plan saying that the city had to implement, well, not implement, but develop a strategic plan, purposefully saying, let's start thinking ahead. Let's look 5, 10, 15 years. And I'm bullish on Marquette, and I think some of these things are going to be positive for us.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
I agree with everything that these gentlemen have said. The important thing is a strategic master plan, the smart zone, competitive utility rates, because businesses look at that when they're going to set up shop, how much money out of their bottom line they're going to have to pay in order to keep the lights on and the water running. And strategic planning is very important, because it's been my experience, communities that do not strategically plan do not cope well with unexpected and unpleasant surprises in the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burge.
One of the things that I think nobody else has brought up yet is that the individual endeavors that people are currently going on right now to make sure that they can stay here and have a job are finally going to come through and flourish. In 5 years, you can do a lot with starting your own business, whether that be in the back of your house or in a business front downtown. But we're going to finally see these places pop up, and Marquette's going to enjoy them. You know, one of the things about buzzwords and terms with smart zones and all that kind of stuff, they'll do a lot of good work, but you can't shortchange the people that are actually doing the hard work now when it's still not established. And there's a lot of good citizens in Marquette that are fighting to stay up here and still have a chance to enjoy the area. There's no point in living up here if you can't be financially stable enough to enjoy everything that we have. And so I think that with that flourishment, we'll really go far.
Thank you. And that takes us to the second standard question, which was posed to you last week. What do you feel is the single most important issue affecting the city of Marquette right now? Mr. Schramm, you can begin.
I say budget. It's always the most important issue of any city. Detroit just learned that after many years of failure. Granted, Marquette's no Detroit, but budget is a budget. Short-term and long-term financial stability is paramount for any city, township, level government success. The city has some important issues and decisions that are going to need to be made. What kind of budget constraint would a hospital move or the Prescott power plant closing do to this city? Marquette has several fluid years in a row with lots of developments that have increased the tax base. It's time to stabilize some of that planning. As one of the county candidates mentioned, we should prepare for the worst. But I'd like to add to that, we should also plan for the best. I don't know how many more roads we can ask businesses to fund. I feel that multiple businesses and private sector experiences will be my experience in multiple businesses and private sector experiences will be a fiscally conservative approach to a budget that I think the Commission can desperately use. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier.
Thank you. I think the biggest issue for the city is, like many people have said, is trying to find jobs, creating jobs, keeping jobs. As a local business worker, I wear 3 or 4 hats in one day doing multiple jobs, and that's how local businesses survive. And some struggle, So I think whatever we can do to help local business thrive and get Marquette back on track is more important to everybody. And I see a lot of development. I see people redoing old buildings. I think that's our key. The new generation of redoing stuff and making things work. And I think this city is primed to do things right.
Thank you. Mr. Burge.
It sounds kind of corny, but our ambiguous city lines are a big problem. We have a lot of businesses that will leave the city of Marquette, takes their taxes and their jobs with them, and they will plop just right there in the township. And that's really not a good thing. Because just between Great Lakes Radio, the I Do Wedding Center, and 906 Technology, the city lost over 100 jobs and all those taxes that went with them out to Marquette or Chocolate Townships. And so if you don't have somebody to help represent Marquette, keep the businesses here, and prevent kind of an urban sprawl of brain drain by going out and keep furthering things out and spreading it out, it's not going to work. You're not going to have a strong central hub in Marquette. You're not going to have that big flagship city of the UP that other candidates had talked about. And that's really kind of that's a big problem, and it establishes trends that would be a big problem for other things.
Thank you. Mr. Baldini.
Thank you. I think the immediate right now is uncertainty. The possible loss of the Presque Isle Power Plant, the location of Marquette General Hospital, and that decision impacting the Marquette Medical Center could have a very negative impact on the city's tax base and the long-term planning that we have to do as a city. I also believe that the so-called black box evaluation dispute for the big box stores could also have a very negative impact on the city, the county, and the surrounding areas, affecting roads, senior citizens programs, and things of that nature. Current uncertainty, I think, is the immediate problem, and we will have some resolution on that because other people will be making some of those decisions, sadly. And I see this as the most important issue affecting us right now, immediately.
Thank you. Mr. Robarge.
I think, well, I would agree with all of those issues being important to the city of Marquette. For me, what I think would be the biggest issue that we're facing, quite honestly, is climate change. I think that climate change is an issue that really gets at every spoke in the wheel, if you will, whether we're talking about land development, the economy, especially the tourism economy, resiliency to our food network. In the very reasons that why a lot of us live here in Marquette are affected by climate change. And I think when you look at what the city is doing, again, whether it's local organizations, citizenry, government officials, there's been a lot of great work implemented at this point, but I think there's a lot of room for improvement, especially with food resiliency, urban agriculture, strengthening our food network. I think it's something that really could bring citizens, municipalities together. It's something we're going to have to tackle together, and I think it's going to be good for that nature.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Biggest challenges, obviously, fiscal responsibility, balanced budgets, paring down the debt, and planning ahead for the future, because we're talking about an economy in flux. We've already written in the Mining Journal about the Presque Isle Power Plant, the Empire Mine. Their positions right now are tenuous, and we've got to look beyond those and we have to have the ability and we have to have the foresight to adapt to these changing conditions so that we can keep a strong economy in the city of Marquette. And that's it.
Thank you. We'll now turn to the audience-submitted questions. Remember, answers are limited to 1 minute. So this question has been pulled at random. There's been quite a bit of debate regarding the sudden influx of food trucks in the city of Marquette, particularly within the downtown district. Currently, the trucks are permitted to park on private property with the owner's permission. However, formal policy dictating location and registration seems to be lacking. How can the city find a balance between tax-paying establishments and these mobile businesses? And the first candidate to answer will be Mr. Frazier.
That's a good question. I think local business, it's another way for local businesses to reach out to their customer base. There's a lot of people that are busy during the day, a lot of festivals, and I don't see really a problem with it. If people want to have a mobile business, I think it's a good way to go. As far as where to put them, and that's another situation that could be solved with ordinances or zoning process. And I'm trying to get other ways you could, maybe there's other information you could gather. Maybe have a community forum, maybe listen to the public, ask people what they think, ask the city, ask the people that live near, see what they think, ask business owners. Let's have a community forum and see what everybody work together and see what we can do to solve the problem.
Thank you. Mr. Robarge.
I think that that's something that perhaps we could look at other cities that have, I think the food trucks have been sort of a recent phenomenon here in Marquette, and it's certainly, I think, a value to the city. I myself am employed at a business that does benefit from the food truck activity, and I also do understand the conflict of interest with other brick and mortar businesses who are paying taxes and the competition that kind of evolves with someone that maybe is in more of a mobile setting. And I think we need to explore options of maybe making that playing field a little more level, but looking into other cities, municipalities that have been dealing with food trucks for a little bit longer of a time and seeing how they're making that relationship work, because I think, you know, business is good, business growth is good, and we just need to make sure everyone else is kind of playing on a fair playing field.
Thank you. Mr. Schramm.
In your question, you asked about whether there should be a regulation against private property owners allowing the food trucks?
I'll repeat it because it was long. There's been quite a bit of debate regarding the sudden influx of food trucks in the city of Marquette, particularly within the downtown district. Currently, the trucks are permitted to park on private property with the owner's permission. However, formal policy dictating location and registration seem to be lacking. How can the city find a balance between tax-paying establishments and these mobile businesses?
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clarify the private property point, I guess, because to regulate what they can do on their private property, I think is tough. That's a can of worms we don't want to get into. I think, honestly, the issue at hand is that the city isn't dealing with the food truck issue. They haven't come up with any kind of policies, so they're skirting around the being banned basically by setting up on a private property. I think that the issue becomes the city's they've got to come up with a policy of where we're going to allow them, what times, and definitely consult with the business owners downtown. I don't see it as a direct competition with our brick and mortar businesses because it's an entirely different experience. I don't think somebody's choosing between going to a place like Donkers and going to the taco truck. It's an entirely different experience, a time constraint. I don't see it as competition for the local businesses downtown, but definitely, as Pete mentioned over there, we should have some forums and communicate with those downtown businesses so we get their point of view in it as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Baldini.
Thank you. I think, first of all, let me preface this and say it's one of these good news problems because I don't hear other communities in UP discussing what are we going to do with this type of new entrepreneurialism. It's one of those things. But it is a new experience for the community, and very often practice is usually here before we end up with a good policy to deal with it, and so that's not unusual. But I think several individuals here have mentioned other communities have had to deal with this. So first of all, let's go see what they've had to do, because there is a question of private property, access, safety, all of those issues, and I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel here. We can probably go and get some other help and assistance on it. But it's something new. I think it's a good news thing because it is something coming to the community.
Thank you. Mr. Burge.
First off, the thing about taco trucks or any kind of food trucks is that they do have taxes, they do have regulations, and they're all very well written down according to the state of Michigan. It's just that we haven't had them up here yet before, and so implementing it on a county-wide level has been a real big problem for not only for Dia de los Tacos, but Senor's, the newest one that came in. With that, they have a different tax base, they have a different understanding of how many people they have coming through, and the city ordinances and anything else are going to have to comply with that. Now, there are certain things that the city can do right off the bat to help with this. Knowing that no downtown business has a kitchen open past 10 o'clock during the weekend would allow open the loading zones inside downtown Marquette to allow them to park there and serve late night. There are small things about knowing your community that would allow you to implement things right off the bat, or at least discuss them in an open forum, which would make it easy. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
On the issue of the food trucks, the best thing to do is to have city commission meetings for citizen input and workshops between these entrepreneurs and the city commission to come up with a set of reasonable, sensible regulations that essentially help them flourish without without the negative side effects, especially on brick and mortar businesses. And that's all I can think of.
Thank you. We'll now start with the second and final round of audience-submitted questions. And the question is, what role does city government play in job creation? And the first candidate to answer will be Mr. Baldini.
Thank you. The city can be helpful. I think the Smart Zone, and I'm on Michigan Tech's Board of Control, and so I've had some experience with the Smart Zone up in Houghton Hancock, and it's brought in a significant number of jobs. We also have the advantage here of having Northern Michigan University. You can provide a setting where you can encourage. I don't advocate that the city's going to go out and create the jobs, but you can help create the atmosphere, either through regulation, rules, policy, taxation. Encourage with the new zone for micropolitan areas that the city of Marquette really took the lead on now with Escanaba. You can do it in that fashion. I don't think anybody's suggesting that they actually go out and create it, but they can create an atmosphere, and that's a role of leadership that the city can play.
Thank you. Mr. Miller.
Essentially, sensible taxing policies, sensible regulations, something that doesn't discourage a business from coming into here and setting up and providing jobs, and above all, reasonable utility rates, because a business looks at that when they're coming into an area and thinking about setting up shop. How much is it going to cost their bottom line to keep the lights on and the waters running? That's why the preservation of our utilities, the Board of Light and Power and City Water Utility, is very important. They have the most competitive rates probably in the Great Lakes region. We Energies, you're going to pay 3 times as much in electrical rates that you do with the Board of Light and Power. And the Board of Light and Power is a debt-free utility. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Frazier.
Can you read the question again?
Absolutely. What role does city government play in job creation?
I think city government plays a big role in job creation because they're the ones that attract or are responsible for trying to help attract other businesses to come to the area. Much like a tourist would go to another area and would have a brochure and look around and see what's available and what are the best places to see. Same way a city government could do, try and find ways to promote your city, tell what a great place is, what great people we have, what great incentives you would have for opening a business here. Talk to other business owners, see what kind of community you have, work with other businesses, maybe create tax breaks, special jobs you can do, who knows, anything. Just kind of like a brochure to attract more businesses to our area, basically.
Thank you. Mr. Schramm.
The city needs to nurture and promote economic development somewhat with less regulation. If you go to the city's website, there's a list of permits and whatnot that a business can get inside the city to operate. And one of the permits that's on the city's website is a going out of business sale permit. That kind of regulation doesn't promote businesses wanting to come into Marquette, and I think the Smart Zone's a great addition. Hoping that that's not going to reserve too many tax dollars to things that are going to end up being funded by the city. The city needs to nurture business with a slight less regulation, more friendly attitude. And the taco truck, was brought up today as a good idea. This new entrepreneurial endeavor that they have to take on, and how they handle things like that is going to depend on whether businesses decide to leave to the township or whether we retain them. So.
Thank you. Mr. Robarge.
I think on top of all the things that have been said, the city playing a role in creating a place that attracting business growth, attracting tourists, not just the opening of businesses, but the people that can support these businesses, and creating a place that people want to visit and people want to live, and whether that's design of the cityscapes into more pedestrian access, or creating places where we're talking about the knowledge economy and people that are mobile and able to move and relocate, and really creating a place that captures these type of individuals that want to live in a specific area and start businesses.
Thank you. Mr. Burge.
Chamber of Commerce would be nice. We don't have one. We used to have one. The Lakes, with all due respect to the Lake Superior Community Partnership, they focus on the township as well. The DDA kind of focuses more on the downtown areas, and the Marquette County Commissioners and Visitors Bureau, they focus on the county. So with all due respect, what they do is great, but we kind of have like the massive expansion of the NHL in 1994 where everything gets too spread out and then the bottom falls out. Having a Chamber of Commerce that's going to be cost affordable because of all these other groups, we'll be able to go through and kind of allow those businesses that are being created right now to be able to sustain a little bit better, to have maybe an extra year to weather the economic systems of our generation, and using that will allow them to have a little bit of extra sustainability. Business sustainability is something that I think is more important for a community to really do, especially in the government sense. Thank you.
Thank you. And believe it or not, it's time for closing statements. City candidates did answer one additional question more than county candidates, even though it does seem that much shorter, at least from this seat. I will again be drawing randomly to determine who answers or delivers their closing statement first, and candidates have 1 minute. Mr. Miller, you can go first.
Well, my desire to run for city commission is to give something back to the community because I've had a good life here, and so far I want to build on the good work that the city commission has done. Such issues as the smart zone, the recycling center, which I think is definitely needed, the truck route for Lundin, which Lundin Mining is going to pay the city $700,000 a year every year until an alternate route is found, the boathouse. These are steps in the right direction for the city of Marquette, and I supported them in past city commission meetings. And like I said, it's all good work I want to build on. That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Baldini.
Thank you. I'm running for the office of City Commission because I believe I can make a positive contribution. I've been actively involved in the fabric of this community for my entire life. I was a school teacher, a school administrator, a member of the recent City Charter Commission, a founder of the Marquette Community Foundation, a current president of the Public School Foundation, the 4th of July Fireworks Committee, and other activities for the many years that we've been here. If you talk to the other individuals who were involved with me on the many activities over all these years, I think they will say that I'm fair, I'm a hard worker, and I will do my homework. And I'm committed to this community, I'm committed to this area, and I will continue to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Robarge.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the members of the 40 Below group for putting this on. I know it took a lot of hard work, and I think it's a great thing to kind of promote transparency and citizen involvement in the political process. That being said, I would be the first one to admit that I have a great deal of work to do. I have spent a long time under the curtain of political apathy, but I do have a strong desire to be a voice for entities, people that can't speak for themselves, whether we're talking about the environment, animals, the less fortunate, and rather than dealing with the byproduct of neglect or degradation, cruelty, I'd rather be part of shaping policy. And it's something that I'm really excited about being a part of, and should I be fortunate enough to make it through the primary, I'm excited to sit down with local groups, citizens, and learn the ropes and get to work come November.
Thank you. Mr. Schramm.
I'm a UP native, son of a Cliffs miner, NMU graduate, former teacher, multiple business owner, husband, and father. I feel all those experiences shape who I am and the decisions I make. I've maintained successful business by making quality financial decisions as well as quality people decisions. I know that being part of a team and the personnel that surrounds any organization is a key to its success. I also know that the citizenry is part of that team. I think some citizens feel out of touch with the current city commission, and I hope to bring more transparency to those city decisions. I feel the last 2 to 3 controversial issues in the city could have been avoided or at least calmer had the city communicated better. I hope to bring a sense of belonging back to the community and not hear citizens say, what difference does it make? They do what they want anyways. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Burge.
I made a conscious decision to stay here and make Marquette my home. And when you do that, you make sure that you do everything you can to help it out. I don't have a lot of money and I'm always busy with some kind of project, but when you go through, you donate time and you donate your skills and you donate what you have. And in this case, I think that that balance and that kind of perspective is going to be a little bit different, and not to take anything away from the people surrounding me or the people on the board, but when you have a 7-person committee, you can really go through and you can have on that board different thought processes and really discuss, so that way people get more involved by just what you're discussing and how you're discussing it. I think I could bring that to the City Commission, and I'd like to do that, and I'd like your vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And with that concludes the city portion of the forum. Please remember that video is available of the complete forum at www.40belowmqt.org. I'd like to end with a couple of thanks. Thank you to those in attendance for your great questions. Thanks to those who have tuned in on Channel 21. Thank you to the City of Marquette, which has donated the use of this space. Thank you to Tori Dupra downstairs handling all of our audio-visual needs, and to Wendy Larson in the City Manager's office who greatly assisted with logistics. Thank you to the 40 Below committee members who organized the forum and 40 Below as a whole. And finally, I'd like to again invite applause for our candidates, both city and any county that are still in attendance, for your participation. Running for political office is not easy, and we commend each of you for seeking a leadership role, and we greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.